How we built a leave management app in Power Apps in 3 days. Hey, welcome. In this video, we're breaking down how we built a leave management app in Power Apps in 3 days. Let's get into it. Let's talk about why we chose custom Power Apps development for this project. The client already ran on Microsoft 365. Teams, SharePoint, Outlook, all of it. That context matters because it made Power Platform the right choice, not just the convenient one. When a company is embedded in the Microsoft ecosystem, custom Power Apps development using Power Platform carries real advantages over external SaaS tools or from-scratch custom code. Native Azure AD authentication, SharePoint integration, dataverse as a structured data layer, and no additional vendor relationship to manage. Their IT team already owned the licensing. The question was whether the platform could deliver what they needed in the time available. The requirement was specific: employees submit leave requests through a form, line managers approve or reject, HR sees a live dashboard across 3 locations and 200 employees, and every action gets logged. Their existing process was email chains and a shared Excel file. No audit trail, no visibility, no enforcement. Now, let's talk about Day 1, architecture, data model, and environment setup. Day 1 was entirely architecture and infrastructure. No app screens, no flow logic. Just the decisions that everything else depends on. We used Dataverse as the data layer, not SharePoint lists. Many teams default to SharePoint lists for simplicity, but Dataverse gives you proper relational data, server-side business logic, row-level security, and native audit logging. For a compliance-focused use case, SharePoint lists were not sufficient. Our Dataverse consulting experience on similar projects meant we had a reference schema to work from, 4 core tables: employee, leave type, leave request, and leave balance. Schema design and validation took about 4 hours. That speed comes directly from Dataverse consulting work on previous engagements, not from cutting corners on the design. Let's talk about moving on to Day 2, building the app and automating the approval chain. Day 2 was the main build: Canvas app interface, Power Automate flows, and the Power BI dashboard for HR. We built 3 flows for this project. These Power Automate workflow examples follow a pattern we apply across most automation projects: trigger on data event, branch on condition, update the record, notify the right person. Reliability comes from error handling, not from logic complexity. Each step uses run after configurations for both success and failure states, so the HR admin gets an alert when anything breaks rather than finding out from an employee whose request disappeared. Now, let's talk about Day 3, testing, citizen developer governance, and handover. We ran Day 3 testing with 6 employees and 2 managers from 2 different departments. Cross-department testing mattered because approval routing depends on Azure AD manager relationships in the directory. A single department test would have missed cross-team edge cases. 2 issues surfaced: one manager's Azure AD profile had a stale department field that broke the routing lookup, and the date picker rendered differently on iOS Safari than on Chrome desktop. Both fixed within 2 hours. Testing with real users and real directory data, not clean sandbox accounts, is the approach we apply across all Power Apps development services engagements. Good citizen developer governance is not a document you write after the project. It is a set of decisions you make during the project and document before handover. The client's IT team received a governance document covering. Let's talk about now how Power Platform governance prevents costly mistakes. Power Platform lowers the barrier to building apps. That is the point. But without controls, departments build production apps in unmanaged environments with no backup, no DLP policy, no IT visibility, and no designated owner when the maker leaves the company. Power Platform governance prevents shadow IT through DLP policies, environment strategies, and approval workflows that require new environment requests to go through IT review. This is not restriction for its own sake. It is the difference between 40 managed apps and 200 unmanaged ones, half of which are pulling data through connectors that violate your data residency requirements. Microsoft's Power Platform COE Starter Kit includes an environment request flow that routes maker requests through a managed IT approval process. We use this as the baseline for citizen developer governance in any tenant with more than 5 active makers. For more on the shadow IT risk and how to close the specific gaps we find in audit engagements, see our post on Shadow IT is Eating Your Power Platform, How to Take Back Control. Now, what can you build with Power Apps? Power Apps is the right tool for structured internal workflows, approval chains, data collection, status tracking, and form-driven processes where the data model is clear and the user base is primarily internal. Real use cases we have delivered using Power Apps development services. The honest constraint: Power Apps is not the right tool for high transaction volume systems, complex pricing engines, or deep integrations with legacy systems that lack standard connectors. For those scenarios, custom code is the better path, and we will tell you that in the scoping call rather than after 3 months of development. Next up, let's talk about how we work as a Power Platform development company. As a Power Platform development company, Q Services brings a structured delivery approach to every engagement. Before any app screen gets built, data model review, dataverse schema design, environment setup, DLP configuration, and solution-based deployment established from day one. Our Power Platform practice covers Canvas apps, model-driven apps, Power Pages development for external-facing portals, and Power Automate automation across the full Microsoft 365 stack. This structure is what separates professional Power Apps development services from what a single citizen developer builds independently. The citizen developer might produce a working app. They are unlikely to produce a solution with documented governance, a repeatable deployment process, and error handling flows that alert someone when a request fails instead of silently dropping it. Our Power Automate consulting engagements start with process mapping: what triggers the workflow, what decision points exist, what systems need to be updated or notified. We have delivered automation covering procurement approvals, IT service desk routing, contract review workflows, and compliance reporting, each built on the same principle: explicit error handling, clear audit logging, and flows that another developer can understand and maintain without tracking down the original author. Next up, conclusion. Custom Power Apps development in 3 days is achievable when 3 conditions are met: a bounded scope that does not shift mid-build, a solid architecture from day one including Dataverse, Power Platform ALM, and DLP policies, and governance built in from the start rather than added at the end. The leave management app we built was not fast because we cut corners. It was fast because we had a proven architecture, the right platform for the use case, and a client who understood what they were asking for. If you are evaluating Power Apps development services for a workflow automation project, start with 3 questions: what is the data model, who approves what, and what does IT need to feel confident about governance? Answer those and the timeline becomes predictable. Q Services delivers custom Power Platform, Dataverse, and Power Automate solutions for mid-market clients across logistics, healthcare, and banking. If you have a workflow that belongs in an app, reach out and we will scope it in a single conversation.